Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right. So good to see all of you on day 45 of 60. That means we are 75% completed, yet we're just beginning. How does that work? That's a riddle. All right. We have a jam-packed day for you today, but let's start. I want you to type in a short sentence, what's a win you've had in the last 24 hours? Personal win, professional win, you got a contract, you got a check, you got a deal, you woke up breathing, you woke up blessed, you hit the gym. What's a one sentence win? Type it in the chat. Type it in the chat. Let's get some positivity going here. What's a one sentence win in the last 24 hours? Surely we got some wins. All right, good. We got them coming. Got my kitchen cabinets delivered. That's a good win. Got onboarded for Truca. Yes, you did. Welcome to the Boslo Accelerator family, Lynette. Andrew, got a ton of sleep and woke up on fire. Let's go, brother. Laura spent some time with her granddaughter today. I love that. Christy has her new lead set up. Fantastic. Carrie, getting her AR fixed. Good. I don't know if AR is an AR-15 or there was a typo, but either way, I'm all for it. Got lots more wins coming. All right. Oh, her car. You got her car fixed. This is good. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to day 45 of 60. I'm going to talk to you today of a few things we have in the works, and I want to share a quick win on our end and something I think is interesting. Ahmed, are you in a place? I know you're going to be on here a couple days from now sharing, but are you in a place where you can talk for 30 seconds?
Can it be just audio?
It can.
Okay, I'm not in a position at home to turn the
Brother,
camera
share
on.
your win. I got a text from you a moment ago, and I just want you to tell everybody.
Well, we locked up another deal on the contract today. I would think it was a lady that came to us from Property Elite Source, the new source that you're testing out for the students. And the deal
Way to
numbers are,
go.
what was it, brother?
I said, way to go.
Appreciate it. I'll give you a quick rundown on the numbers. The ARB is 185, and we got it for 140. And we got 10,000 down, and I'll tell you where that came from here in just a minute. And we take over the PITI, which is 960, and we give her 140 a month on top of that, $140. And that's a quick backstory on the $10,000 down, and that came from Andrew. Just a little magical nugget here. She was in agreement with everything, and it was no money down, and it was just 140 a month. And she had the agreement, and she sat on it for a little bit. And then she sent me a message saying, I'm not so sure. I just don't know if I like giving up the house and just getting 140 a month. That's just really low. So I fired back and asked her a question. So what's more important to you? Actually, no, she also asked, can I get some more money down? So she wanted more monthly and money down. I was like, well, so I fired back a question and I asked her, what's more important to you? Some more money monthly or some money up front? And then I was going to respond back, and I ran my response to Andrew, and Andrew adjusted a little bit. And the response was basically something along the lines of, we can give you a little bit more monthly down. Which one is better for you? Keep it as is, no money down, and increase the monthly, or decrease the purchase price by $10,000 down, and we'll give you 10,000 up front, which was what she was asking for because she wanted 10,000 up front. So I kind of made that a long story, but essentially, even though we put 10,000 up front, but we cut the price down by 10,000. So it was a give and take relationship. We took 10,000 off the purchase price and we gave her 10,000 down that she wanted. So she's back in a happy place, and we're back on contract. We're back on the back on track, and we're hopefully going to be closing it here in a couple of weeks.
Win, 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 baby. That's what I
That's
like to
right.
hear.
Win, win, win. That's right.
Awesome. And I know we've been having our real estate 15-minute team meetings. I know you and Derek are both killing it, getting these contracts locked up. So this is going to be a good month, biggest month of the year. So very exciting. All right. Well, we're going to get to some questions today. We had several questions from yesterday we did not yet get to, so we're going to be getting to those. And we have a lot of things to cover on day 45. I have an agenda laid out for these remaining 14 more days after the day together. And I'm going to be sharing with you over these coming days some additional overview structures in your real estate investing business. We're going to be hearing from one of my favorite attorneys, and you're going to hear a lot about him and closing deals and finding attorneys. That is tomorrow. He's going to be coming and hanging out with us. So that's going to be a good time. You're going to hear more from our team. Ahmed's going to be talking more to you. Derek's going to be sharing more with you. And you're going to be hearing from Glenn, one of our amazing Freedom Life members and coaches as well. You're going to be hearing, well, we got a whole bunch of other surprises for you. So we won't blow all the surprises. Point is, make sure you're here and bring people with you because we're going to keep dropping the fire until the very last day where you're just going to then have to wait to come hang out with us in person in August. So, all right. It's a good day. It's a good day. And it's nice to see all of your smiling faces. Something I want to run by the way, for all of you who were on Saturday and have requested funding, know that our funding team is going to be reaching out to you this week. Our partners who do the funding, looking through, and we'll be talking a little bit more about how that is going to work as well. So quick house cleaning on orders on that one is you'll be hearing from, and also we have 4 different sources of people, friends, connections, and people within the community who do lending to businesses and individuals. And so I'm not talking about private lending now. I'm talking about the business credit we talked about on Saturday and the personal side. So that side of things, should the first one that you get connected with not be the proper fit for you, there is more than one option available. So you'll be hearing and working through those options that you have at your fingertips this week. So again, welcome to everybody who hopped in the last 60 seconds to day 45. I want to point out to you a couple of things. First off, you guys are here and you're winning together, and I congratulate you for that. I want to get this interaction because I'm going to talk about something that's not maybe the most exciting side of the business today. I'm going to talk about a little bit of negativity. It's not negativity, it's actually just reality. So before I do that, I want to find out how many of you, of the 58 who are on right now, have gotten a contract or a check during these 60 days. Type it in the chat, yes, you've got a contract or a check during these 60 days. I want to see how many contracts and checks out of 59 people, because I know we're up to many, many, many dozens of contracts and checks. And I also know that not everybody is getting to be on with us today. So we got the yeses coming. Good. Yes, yes, yes. GTFM, I like that. Yes. Contract. Good. All right, so we got a lot of contracts and checks. There's something that Leo was talking about on one of our community calls today with our mastermind members that I wanted to point out to you guys. And that is something that is obvious in a way, but something that is all too easy to forget. And that is that we have to get multiple offers out, which we ask questions, we don't make offers, in order to get an accepted great deal, right? So regardless of what that number is, it is a numbers game. I want you to write this down and remember this. It is a numbers game, because when the emotions are running high, you're going, crap, another one got declined, another one fell through, another one, whatever. It's a numbers game. So you're going in, you're talking to sellers, and you're connecting with people, and you know that by sheer numbers, if you ask them the right questions and get on the phone, it's just a numbers game. I have to have enough conversation. If they're crappy leads, that could be 50. It could be in the first few months, I had hundreds and hundreds of conversations, and most of them turned to nothing, partly because I wasn't yet great on the phone, and partly because it was crappy free leads. Now, of course, that table is turned. Underneath that, write down momentum. I talk a lot about momentum. This is so powerful, guys. But as you are doing these calls and you're building that momentum, they build on one another. I had a good friend of mine, one of our very first students with one of our previous programs several years ago, I was talking to yesterday. And he said to me, "You talk so much about momentum and the snowball effect." He says, "I see what you mean now, because the deals just continue to flow, right? Because people you met 3 months ago, 6 months ago, you talked to a year ago, then keep coming back and telling others about you. So the snowball effect is real. So the first thing is, know that it is a numbers game. It's just having enough conversations. The second part of this is the stark reality that not every contract will close. Write it down. Again, I told you it was going to be a little negative. It's not negative, it's just reality. Not every contract will close. Why? There's some properties going to pop up and they're going to have liens on the property. There's some properties you're going to find out facts about the property or the area that you didn't know before, and it doesn't work for your portfolio. Now, if we get 50 contracts, I would have to look at our numbers. I would say 44 to 46 of them are going to close. And there's still going to occasionally be a deal that falls through. And that's with us having done this for so long. So I want to point this out because for all of those who are getting your first deal or first deals contracted, know that as this happens and we are looking forward to the fact and excited about the fact you got the contract, that not everything goes as planned. And that's in the whole darn business, of course. And so not every seller goes as planned. Not every tenant buyer goes as planned. Not everything goes as planned. And while it is, in a way, stating the obvious that life doesn't go as planned, on the other side of things, it's very important to know, because if your 10th contract falls through, that can be something, right? It happens. But if it's your first contract and it falls through, or an early contract and it falls through, then that can be a little bit discouraging, for sure. And if your first tenant buyer falls through and they were supposed to meet you with $20,000 non-refundable option deposit last night and they didn't show up, it sucks. If it's your 10th tenant buyer and they fall through, that's different, right? Because you've already have the validation. And so I want you to borrow the validation, borrow the reality of the people that are surrounding you on this call, right? Remember the checks of Chris and of Glenn and of Judy and of Carly and of Veronica and of all these people who have gotten checks or showed checks. I want you to know and borrow that confidence, because now you're no longer looking in the thing of, crap, this business is great. Crap, this business sucks. Oh, crap, this business is great. Because you can do that. I've done that for the first year and a half. I think I quit this business about 30 times a month, right? And so when we can remove our expectation or our emotions from that outcome and look and go, okay, I committed to myself. I was going to talk to 25 sellers a week. I had 25 conversations this week and I got a contract. Yay. I committed to 25 conversations. I talked to 25 sellers. I talked to them and I didn't get a contract. Crap. How can I do better next week? Right? Now it is a review of the numbers, and it's taking your emotion and the ups and downs out of this. All right. So I want you to write down, remove emotions from the equation. Now, I want you to celebrate. You get a big, fat, beautiful check. Take a couple of loved ones to dinner. They'll wonder why you're so happy. That's okay. But it just as easy can fall through the next one as it can come through. Right? So I want, again, to remove the attachment that we can get going inside these deals, so that as the ebbs and flows of these deals come and go, that we look at it for what it is. This is a business. This is a business that you're in for the long run, to do 5 deals a year, 10 deals a year, 20 deals a year. This is not a only 60-day marathon where you hopefully get a couple of checks and it's over, right? This is a business that you are building. Now, maybe you're not going to be running the business for the long term. Maybe you're going to partner up with someone else on here. You're going to be a part of our community. You're going to have fun and build together. That's awesome, except it is a business, right? How big do you think Walmart would have been if they sold their first 50 items and decided to call it quits? So look at it for what it is and know that this legacy piece you're building doesn't necessarily happen overnight. Now, are there people on here who have been in for days or weeks and already gotten checks? Yes. And we celebrate that, right? I got my first contract a few weeks into starting the business. Took me a few weeks later, I got my first $3,000 check. Kurt Dixon was 11 months in before he got his first check, if my memory serves me correctly. 11 months before he got his first check. So I share this because everybody's experience is different, but if we're emotionally up and down, it's going to be a long and dreadful journey. All right. So make sure that you are setting expectations for yourself properly. Now, you're smart for being here because it can shorten that curve tremendously when you have the right help. That's why you're here. And I commend all of you for being here on day 45. It has been so fun. And again, I know I say it a bit tongue in cheek, but I am just feeling like we barely started. Time is freaking flying by. And I'm so excited for you guys. Before I go further and have a lot more to share today, I want to put this in so I don't forget. Paul, will you type it or share it in the chat? I am doing a meetup tomorrow night in Louisville, Kentucky. And I want all of you who are nearby and can to be with me. Come hang out with me and our team and several others tomorrow night in person for a couple of hours. I've already spent thousands of dollars, Leo and I have, on food for you guys. So bring your friends because I don't want to take home leftovers. So come ready to learn and having fun together. We're going to have a good time. We got some incredible guests, including Judy Sweeney, who's on here. We've got private lenders coming. We've got, and one of my favorite attorneys going to be there. We've got a whole host of people, very brilliant local young wholesalers going to be there on the panel. So it's going to be a great time. So make sure that you are there. Paul put the registration link in the chat for you. Thank you for that, Paul. So make sure you're there tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern. All right. So how do we run this business successfully? Number one, view it for what it is. It's a business, right? I share this because this is something I did very wrong in the beginning. I would get a check and I'd be like, well, I just let the business keep it because one day it's going to support me. That ain't how I want this business to run for you. I want you to beat your business and make it pay you well. All right. I want you to go get a big, beautiful check and take profit first. Every check you get should be paying you well. All right. So, number one, view it as the business it is. Number two, write it down. Be consistent. Consistency wins every time. It's impossible to beat somebody who refuses to quit. So, is there somebody who may have been better on the phone than me? Maybe. Is there somebody who may have been better at getting deals than me? Maybe. But there's one thing that I know I can always do, and that is be consistent and refuse to quit. Now, is it very important to grow? Absolutely. Because you can refuse to quit and spend your whole life doing the same darn thing that ain't working. So there is a downside to that attitude. And at the same time, plugged into the right thing, it makes you unstoppable. So, number one, view it as a business. Number two, be consistent. Take consistent action. Number three, write this down. Always continue learning. I know I've called her out a couple of times. I just want to call her out again. So many of you have just been here every day or nearly every day, and I commend you for that. You're showing up. I see some of the same smiling faces. over and over again, and it makes me so happy. And Elizabeth, while she has been on this earth more decades than most on this call, and she looks like one of the youngest ones of us on this call. She looks so amazing. I watch her at 80 years old taking notes on every call. That is so amazing. Like, wow, that is called never stop learning. She's showing you her notes now. I love you, Elizabeth. And so she's taking notes every single call. Why? Because she realizes we can always continue learning. No matter our age, no matter our position in life, no matter what we're doing, we can live our purpose more fully by taking in more great knowledge. Every call is a learning experience. And I think this is so powerful, right? I've seen people go to the same event and walk away with a negative take at other times, right? And somebody else will show up and gather amazing information, take notes, and leave with 1 or 2 or 5 nuggets or connections that ends up making them tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. And I think that is such a key, right? Because it's there, it's here. And I wanted to point out to you guys, some of you have been coming to, and I know some of you are going to be at the meetup, and I'll share a little bit more about it too there. Some of you have been to our previous 3-day events. And while there are some similarities in the format, we have added a tremendous amount of new stuff. So for all of you that got your tickets, you're in for some surprises. And for those of you who haven't yet gotten your tickets to the 3-day Truca Real Estate event in August, make sure you're there because we're going to have a lot of fun. We have jam-packed a ton of new information. Now, how can we continually be providing new information? It's because we practice what I just preached to you. It's because we view it as the business that it is. We must always be becoming better. Leo and I always talking about how do we gain more knowledge? How do we be consistent and consistently become better? And then we're always learning. Every mastermind that we invest into, every country we travel to, every time we're together, we're always discussing new ideas, new ways we can continue to add value in our business and add value to you guys that cause you to grow, right? So there's no stopping. When you begin to see money as what it is, it's an unlimited source. Basically, it's unlimited energy. And as you begin to view the connections, it's no longer, oh, I need to meet that person so I can get this out of it. It is, I know if my network is what it needs to be, then we can all have way more and be way more and have more fun because I love people. Most people who turn their cameras on. I'm playing. So I love people. Everybody on my screen right now has their camera on, by the way. So I'm glad you're here, even those of you who are in jobs and can't turn your cameras on. Now, I want all of you to continue to take away from these events, right? This 3-day event coming up, Truca Real Estate event. It's the first one of its kind, really. While it will have elements of personal growth and elements of real estate, we are going to do some very, very different things that you've not yet seen before. And I know you're excited. Judy's smiling from ear to ear. I love you, Judy. And I'm excited for all of you. I'm excited for all of us. Why? Because when we all grow and things become more abundant. So, all right, make sure you're looking at this as a business it is. Make sure you are being consistent with your action. Make sure you're not getting too attached to any singular deal or exit strategy, right? I see people get a deal and they're going, crap, I need to sell this with a wholesale. I need to sell this with whatever. And then I'll ask a question. I'll give you an example. Somebody comes to me with a deal. They got it contracted for $50,000. They believe they're going to wholesale it for $70,000. And they say to me, Andrew, I need to wholesale this deal and get me 20K. I say, well, what if you had a lease option buyer come to you? No, I can't lease option it. I gotta make sure I sell it. Okay. What if a lease option buyer comes to you and offers you 60,000 down on a 120 purchase price? Well, yeah, I could do that. Shoot, I'd make 10 up front, and I'd make rent for years, and I'd make another 60 when they cash me out later. Okay, got it. So you really don't have to wholesale this deal. Well, I don't guess so. See how we're thinking in a box, right? So things come to us, and we must be willing to think outside of our box and realize that we don't necessarily know what we don't yet know. And we're only going to find out by being surrounded by the right people. Write this down: surrounded by the right people and asking the right questions. All right. So I want to, because we have so many questions from yesterday, and I've got a lot more information that I want to share with you. We're going to put that on pause till tomorrow when we're hanging out with one of my favorite attorneys who's going to be answering your questions, and we're going to have an amazing time together. I'm so excited about tomorrow, in case you can't tell. So make sure you're here and invite all your friends to be here too. We're going to get to questions from yesterday and the new ones that came in today. So, Paul, let's jump to that.
Yeah, so the first question we wanted to expand on, and would love to hear your thoughts, Andrew, is from Stephen yesterday. And he had mentioned, how do we handle when we have multiple mortgages that we're lease optioning to the at the one time? When you're, the question was, he had said, how do you suggest I pay for multiple mortgages I'm potentially accumulating when I'm having a challenge paying for the house that I currently have?
Yeah, so I'm going to make a confession here in front of everybody. I negotiated a deal this morning, 1.2 miles from my office. So I got myself in the car and I actually went and visited a house today and met the seller, met the doggy, and everything. And I actually just had this very discussion. So here's how it goes. By the way, I just have to do this because I just went and seen this house. Boom. There we go. Here's the house. Just a normal house with a leaky roof. So I go walk into the house. Thought that was cool. It was a Lego airplane. So I asked them if it come with the house. They said one of the Lego airplanes does and one of the Lego airplanes don't. That my nephew loves Lego airplanes, so I'm not certain that we would be buying it unless they both come with the house. We had a good laugh. Here's the doggies. So that's all. So for all of you, we get done with the house. We negotiated the terms. We're all on the same page. Then I go show the purchase agreement, the standard purchase and sell agreement. All right, buyers, me, sellers, you, boom. Here's the terms, boom. Here is where we're paying the closing costs, boom. Here's the details. It's a single family. Here's the timeline on which we're going to close, boom. Get down to paragraph 18. Now, let me tell you a 45-second story. It was 2016 or 2015, excuse me, and I went nuts buying houses. I bought 26 houses in a matter of about 9 weeks. And then it dawned on me, I have 26 houses and I need to sell them. And they all got mortgages coming due. So I said, oh crap. So I went to work selling houses real fast. And I determined to always do this going forward. Very smart. And you guys should do this. And you'll thank me later if you do it. I don't do it for that. It's just the fact you will be very glad you did it. If you don't do it, you'll come back to me later and tell me I was right. And then you'll start doing it. So either way, you will win eventually. It's just a matter of starting even later. And that is, we get to the paragraph 18. And I say, okay, Valerie, here's how it works. On paragraph 18, I'm going to buy the house. We're going to close. Let's just say we close in the month of July, right? Buyer begins to make payments in the third month after close. So that means you owe August 1st anyway. You live there in July. So you're going to make August 1st. We do ask you, since we're paying all the closing costs and the price we agreed to go ahead and make one additional payment. So you'll also be paying September. You'll also be paying September, and then we'll go ahead and take over in October. All right. And then down here, it says that it's not rented. It says that it's going to be empty. We don't have to evict anybody. And then right here's where I need your okay. Do you have any more questions for me? Right. So very important you get that third month after close in there. And again, some of you are going to step back on that and you're going to be like, I don't want to lose the deal over it. I get it. You don't have to lose the deal over it. And, if there's a couple 100,000 of equity, don't lose the deal over $1,000. I agree. But believe me, over the life of a year, imagine you're doing 50 of these a year and it's an average of $2,000 per deal that you're saving. At the end of the year, that's $100,000 added to your revenue just because you took the time to fill in that blank and ask that question. All right. So third month after close, always. I spend a little extra time on that question because it's so, so important. Let's go ahead to the next one, brother.
All right. Next question here comes from Tim, and he says, how often have you had to replace your acquisitionist since you hired your first one?
That is a good question. My first acquisitionist, I had no clue what I was doing. I bought some houses from him. He was a meter reader, and he became my acquisitionist for about a year. Robert worked with me off and on from 2015 to 2020. So he was with me for 5 years. Then Derek worked with me from 2020 approximately till 2021. Then he moved. He came in as a referral from the military. And then Ahmed started working with us, came in as a student actually in I think 2018, 2019 range. And then we began working together in 2021-ish, right as Derek ended up stepping aside to move. He was in the military full time. And then Derek ended up coming back in here just a few months ago. So now Ahmed and Derek are both that end.
Right. Fearless Eddie asks, your opinion on asking for acquisitions people to volunteer their full-time hours to move deals for them. Reason I ask is I have a company asking me to acquisition deals for them for a 15% split, 85% for them, and do it for them full-time. Any comments?
Yeah, that's very much a personal choice. It depends on the tools they provide you. It depends on the upside income. You'll definitely have some learning moments there. And if it's likely you could make a good income doing that, nothing wrong with getting paid to learn. And at the same time, if you're the one putting out signs and taking calls and closing deals and signing agreements and, doing the majority of everything, and there's not an upside for you as far as additional learning or growth beyond that, then it may not be worth your time. So 100% personal choice, and would definitely need to see the rest of the facts before I could give you any deeper thoughts on that.
All right. Next question comes from Tim Keown, and he says, Andrew, I'm looking at a property that is in a little village and cannot get accurate comps. How do you come up with ARV in this situation?
Good money, bad numbers. If I get this deal at these numbers, can I always turn it and cash flow it well? So that's number one. Number two, if I cannot find solid comps or I doubt my value, I always get an appraisal. We call the appraiser and just ask for a subject to appraisal. So they appraise it as is and then appraise it as it is updated for what we think could or should be done to the property. And they'll pull their comps from legit things. They're an appraiser. They have certain rules they got to abide by. And that's as good as we can get it. So number one, good money, bad numbers. Number two, hire an appraiser.
All right, we got another question from Tim Keown here. He says, I have a potential sub-2 deal that is in probate and has a Medicaid lien on it also. Any advice on probate situations, and have you ever negotiated a Medicaid lien?
Yeah, have a good attorney involved. I always start by finding out the liens, going through them, and when appropriate, calling them. Sometimes that means it's going to be most appropriate for you to call them. Sometimes it's most appropriate for the seller, and sometimes it's going to be most appropriate for the attorney. It's going to be very specific in a conversation you definitely want to have with your attorney. And again, get copies of all the liens so you can figure out how long they've been. Some liens fall off after a period of years. Some don't. There's a whole lot of nuances. So we want to know what your state does for that type of lien and what our leverage points are before we start trying to negotiate it.
All right. Next question comes from our masterminder, Carly, and she says, I have someone that wants to be an acquisitionist and wants to be hired under his LLC and not as an individual. What are your thoughts on that?
Carly, nothing wrong with that. I'm going to pay their entities anyway if they have one. So not a big deal. I'd want to find out why they're asking specifically for that. there's an underlying motive that is. I have no clue who this person is. So if they're on here, no offense. I want to find out if there's a ulterior motive or anything that strikes me as off. But as far as if it's I'm writing checks to their entity, shoot, go for it. I want them to write off all the things they can because they're going to be driving possibly to look at houses and taking calls, and there's all sorts of write-offs they can take of things that they're buying to do this job.
Okay, we have another question from Tim here. He says, another deal that I'm working is a wholesale. And he says, I'm getting ready to send over the agreement. They just informed me that it is in probate, and the seller wants me to send the agreement and the payment for the property to the attorney handling everything. Just curious how you would handle this.
One more time. I didn't
Okay,
quite catch that.
So this is a deal that Tim is working, is a wholesale. And he said, as I'm getting ready to send over the agreement, and just informed me that it is in probate, and the seller wants me to send the agreement and the payment for the property to the attorney handling everything. Just curious how you would handle this.
No challenge with that.
All right. We had a question here from Andrew. He says, what documents would you use for a lender on a sub-2 where you are going to use a private lender for the money down that you need?
Check with your closing attorney.
All right. And I think that does it for today, unless we can garner any more, because I know you guys are sending a lot of awesome questions in, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you again. It's day 45. This has been so much fun. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time. And remember, we got one of our favorite attorneys on tomorrow. So let everybody know to be on here because you get to ask a beautiful $600 hour attorney questions for free. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.